we're taking a testimony that I've already heard, but we want to pull it apart so it becomes tools that everybody's going to use. Your job is to and listen to the testimony of what's happening with Paul and just be listening to the Holy Spirit. What are you wanting me to gain from this? How can I apply this lesson to my life? So, Paul, just give us some context. Some people may not know who you are. Who are you, and how, and what's your business, and how long have you been doing this?
I am Paul Van Hosen, and I'm going to start my little stopwatch here so I can keep track of how long I'm talking. Um, and I'm in Nashville, Tennessee. I've been in tech for many, many years, and in healthcare, a bunch of different things. I'm a startup guy. I like startups, but I got into real estate, commercial real estate, about 7 years ago, and been working with a partnership with two other guys in commercial real estate, primarily in Middle Tennessee, Mid South, Northern Alabama area.
And so people understand, what does that look like, and what size deals have you been doing up until this one?
Yeah, so commercial real estate for us is we find land, typically owned by families, or it's typically owned by a family in agriculture, and they're going to convert it to some kind of commercial use. The family is trying to sell it. So we will help them figure that out. We'll figure out what the land uses are, what the local regulations are, what the land would be worth to a developer with a certain fit. So deal sizes have been anywhere from, I think the smallest land takedown we did was about 1.8, and we're working on,
1.8 million. Yep.
yeah, we were working on one that's 24 million now.
Okay. And this one is a $24 million.
Takedown.
Yep. So takedown is you take the raw land, you get the permits, the processes, the approvals, and then you sell it to someone that's going to build,
Develop it. Right.
turn it into houses and
And you
sell
mark it up
houses.
based, it's called entitled land at that point. So you're doing paper entitlements, for a better term. We're not actually building anything, but we go to the municipalities and take a piece of land and say, hey, you can now build a multifamily complex here, or you've got it entitled to build, however many single family homes, or a mixture of all that.
Okay, so this gives us some context. This is the biggest one, and a part of it was because you heard the voice of God at the start of last year saying logarithmic increase. This deal came up 3 days later. So it's
Yeah.
been in play for now, what is that,
January,
18
January
months?
2024. Yeah.
Okay, so coming up 18 months or thereabouts. Quickly tell us, who are the stakeholders, who are the partners, and where are they at spiritually?
Well, my partners are believers. They're at different levels in that world, but they're both believers. And JPG is three people in our partnership, and
So your company is JPG.
right,
There's three partners, and you share the same
values,
values. Cool.
right, spiritual values, right, in generally same value level. So then people we buy land from are all over the map. Uh, people we sell land to are all over the map. So there's really no rhyme or reason to that. Now, obviously, we use common sense in that, but this particular piece of property we found came on the market in January 2024, and I felt very strongly the Lord was like, put that land under contract. So it was owned by a family partnership. It was a large property, over 500 acres. I'd been in agriculture in the family for 150 years. It's never been built, never been in commercial use at all. Gorgeous. Um, so we took the family at their offering price. They wanted to sell the whole thing. They don't want to sell it in pieces. So they were very emphatic about what they wanted in this. They wanted this asking price. They didn't want to sell it in pieces. They want to sell the whole thing. Like, okay, well, that's going to take some work.
So let's skip a bunch of this, Paul, and go straight to, you got all the work done. It's bigger
Yeah,
than you've ever done before. It's all permitted. It's all moving forward. Now you've got to have a buyer, and
right.
that got to this year, and there's someone to buy. Walk us through these two buyers, Hiram and Solomon,
Yep.
coming to buy. Who are they? Why'd you call them Hiram and Solomon? Because that's code names.
Yeah.
And then walk us through what happened.
Yeah, yeah. So Hiram and Solomon. So if you're not familiar with the Bible stories, go to look at 2 Samuel 5 verses 10 through 12. Hiram was a king of Tyre. He was a pagan king, but when he heard that David had become king and replaced Saul, he made friends with King David and built him a house and just really cut a deal with him. He knew he needed to get this young man engaged. So he was a friend of King Hiram, or yeah, King Hiram was a friend of David's for his entire reign, pagan king. And then when Solomon took over, he was also a friend of David's son Solomon. So Hiram, without being connected spiritually, was a straight up good guy. Very cooperative, very connected. They had peace treaties between Tyre and Kingdom of Israel during David's reign. Solomon obviously is David's son, so you all know that one. So I call these two, when we got into these two buyers, we had uh, two competing contracts for this thing. And my kind of criteria here was we had family negotiations going on. They're sensitive. This is a family partnership, pretty diverse. So I can't have somebody stepping in with me that could blow up that relationship with us. So they have to value our contribution and respect our boundaries. So they got to value what we brought to the table and bringing all these relationships together. We got over $1 million invested in this gig just to get it to this point to where it's sellable. And then obviously they got to be financially capable of a large takedown. And then it's not just financially capable, it's a tricky closing. It's a simultaneous closing. So we use their cash at the closing, not ours, to get
So
this
you
done.
like just like making the hand.
Yeah, I own the land for about 60 seconds. And then they're going to have a good professional working relationship, and obviously if their spiritual values align, that's a plus as well. So those are kind of our evaluation criteria. We had two very strong contenders come into this, and so we were working through both of them. And Hiram came in almost at the same time, actually just a little bit in front of Solomon, with an offering, and they were negotiating in the background with one of my partners, and then Solomon came in with their offering, and when they came in, they were really engaging with us again with a stronger offering as we kept working through it because they were working toward a partnership with us. They really wanted to work much more deeply with us. Hiram was much more, hey, we're going to buy this dirt straight up, and we're just going to get this closed and get it done.
So Hiram, corporate, large,
Yeah,
and let's get it done. Let's do the deal. Let's move
right.
forward. And Solomon comes and where are they at in values? Where are they at in terms of the spiritual engagement of Paul with them at the start?
Yeah. I was much more, I mean, obviously they were, I felt much more comfortable with them because I felt like the development itself, we could really be involved together with the development itself. So I was also looking at what was actually going to be developed down the road rather than just closing the transaction.
So come back to this, pay attention to how do you make decisions of who to do business with? Paul's already highlighted. Number one, value contribution, and that they would respect what we've got and they'd respect our values. Number two, are they financially capable? Can they actually do what they want to do? Those two things. So at this point, did
And
you
both of
have,
them are a dead heat on the financial side.
okay, both of them? Yep.
They both can do it. They've got the capacity money wise. They know how to handle tricky closings.
Okay.
Um,
So
didn't
walk
feel
us,
like there was a values twist and turn. Nobody's gonna go around me,
okay.
take us out or anything like that. I didn't distrust either one of these parties.
Okay. So you got Hiram and you've got Solomon. They're both on a similar footing. So you're going to do the deal with Solomon.
Well, that was the decision we had to make, and we had to step back and go, okay, how are we going to go through this and figure out? Because you got to say no to somebody, right? So we had a weekend to make that decision, and we were going to have to send somebody a Dear John letter on Monday and say, we're going the other way. So that was a tough weekend.
No, tell me about your internal world and what was going on. What's your desire? And then what unfolded for you personally?
Yeah, it was for me personally, I've found that my spiritual attraction was was really dominating the discussion.
So my desire to do this with
I
other
wanted to be
kingdom
in
believers.
partnership with these guys, with Solomon. I really liked working with them. I enjoyed the interactions we were having with them, et cetera, et cetera. My partners, well, one of them was kind of in the middle. One of the other partners was like, we got to look at just getting this done. Who's going to get it done? Well, both of them are going to get it done. It's just where do we end up at the end of the game? Do we want do we want a bigger relationship with these guys down the road, or where's that going? So those are some of the factors that we were all debating over the weekend.
Okay, and where did it get to for Paul?
Um, where it got to me was um, the, I had a kind of a one of my night encounters with the Lord. I'm like, God, you're going to have to speak to me, and He's like, okay, well, I'm speaking to you, and you need to go with Hiram.
Well, hang on. So, okay, so I've got, so here's what I want to point out. Paul, in his own words, said, my desire for a kingdom partnership was blinding me to some things that were becoming visible. So you finally pray, you're feeling the tension, and God says, Paul, go with Hiram. How did you navigate that? And then what did you see afterwards?
Well, it was number one. It was very difficult because I was the guy who had to make the phone call to Solomon and tell him we weren't going with him. It was a very emotional call for me. I was like really not the guy. I mean, my other partner would go to pick the phone up and said, "Hey, man, sorry, sorry, we had to go the other direction." Click. He
So
was
here, so
done with
here's
it.
Paul Van Hosen is
Yeah,
picking up the phone and rejecting the Christian offer so that he can take the pagan offer. Is that
yeah,
right?
yeah, exactly. And it didn't go over well with Solomon. Did not go over well at all.
Okay. So
Like so bad it didn't go over well that the Lord was like, well, there's a factor you didn't see.
so tell us about it.
Obviously it's always difficult when somebody says no to you in a deal. Okay, you're not picked, and that's okay. There's a professional way of going, okay, we're not in. Um, but it was very painful. He was having a hard time. I think he was struggling with the same thing we were struggling with or that I was struggling with is he'd gotten emotionally entangled
Yeah.
in this thing and it became more than just a business decision. So, it was interesting going through this because I had in the past anywhere, I had tended to make decisions based on that spiritual connection and emotional connection. And the Lord's like, we're not living there. We're living at a different level.
Yeah. So you assumed that because I have a spiritual connection, because they appear, sound, and look kingdom, because we're not talking about bad people here. It's not,
Right.
we're talking about
Yeah,
that,
we're still going to be working with them,
yeah,
hopefully, somewhere else, hopefully,
but not on this deal.
but not on this deal.
So
Yeah.
Paul was blinded by his desire. When you step back, I mean, you told me the deal, and when you took it, they weren't apples to apples to start with. There were some significant differences. What were those after the fact that you could see clearly?
Well, the significant differences were Hiram had financially, they had a different level of financial control. We were talking to the decision maker at Hiram. Solomon had some people in the background that we didn't really see until we got closer to the finish line. And I was just kind of shrugging them off. There were some other decision makers that they hadn't even met yet. So that was one factor. Things started emerging, and if you get enough things started emerging, you finally go, okay, I'm done with this checklist. But there was, on the other side, on the Hiram side, Hiram had done their homework deeply on this deal. They understood a lot of stuff. They were coming to us with, "Hey, this is the stuff that we're discovering over here, and this is the feedback that we're getting." We had a lot more feedback coming at us from that side about how they're going to do this and what they were going to do, and they were insistent. They just kept at it every day. They were sending us information. Um, Solomon was more, I think they were more dependent on thinking, oh, we're going to be in this partnership, and I don't really have to worry about that.
Okay, so I got Christian that's just assuming, so on two sides. One, on Paul's side, I'm going to assume that I'm going to do business with Christians because I want to see the kingdom of God advance. And there's a life flow and a connection, a chemistry here, and you really like this person. But they're smaller, they're more reticent, and it's becoming clear you're not talking to the decision maker. There's more that needs to go past. On the other side, you've got an unsaved group that's coming in that go out of their way to
Well, we won't call them unsaved.
okay,
They're
very good.
unprofessed.
Unconfessed. Okay, very, very good. Thank you for that qualification. But they're coming in and they are meeting everything that you need in the deal, like everything, going out of their way. And Paul is still saying, no, I still want to take the professed Christians.
Yeah, they were. I mean, my other partner who was working with Hiram directly, he's like, I keep asking him for things, and they just keep going, okay, we'll do that. Okay, we'll do that. Okay, we'll do that. And they're finally at the end of the week, they were like, hey, we said yes to everything. Are we in this or not? They just want a straight up answer. Are we in or are we out?
Yep.
So, it was much more straightforward negotiation on that front.
So this works twofold for people on this call that you're the Paul and you'll make the decision, who am I going to do business with? Be aware that your desire for a particular chemistry, connection, flow of life doesn't blind you to what the Holy Spirit is leading you to do. The flip side is if you're on the other side and you're the Christian and you're thinking that you're going to get a deal because you heard the voice of God or because, and that you can coast on the fact, oh, we're Christians, we can work this out. That is not okay. That is not sharp or excellent. Paul, you went with a decision. You learned some things through this. What did you learn about you? And what did you learn about that you're going to do differently next time?
Well, no, first thing you learn is you desperately need partners. You need more than yourself.
As in you had your two
I had
partners with
I
you
had
in the
my two
business.
partners, and they were like, "Hey, this," and then you need a level of intimacy with the Lord that can, and a community around you praying for you that can get you into a posture where you can actually hear the Lord say, "Yeah, you're missing this here," where you're actually at peace with that. It was a growing experience for me. So, you're never too old to learn this stuff, and you learn what you're good at and what you're not good at. And, God put me into my, it's almost Peter principled into my maximum level of discomfort and dysfunction, which is go say no to somebody. Go be the guy to say no. That's not what I do. I'm chief encouragement officer. I'm the guy who encourages people. I don't go around saying no. So not
So
what I
you
do.
learned one, I need wise counsel. I've got to have wise counsel because I don't even know when I'm blind or bias towards a particular decision. Super, super important. Secondly, the time that the devotion that you have with God, God spoke to you directly. So in spite of your wise counsel, you weren't listening, but then you listened to God and he's like, Paul,
Yeah.
do the deal with Hiram. I'm trying to help you here. And then how will is there anything you'll do differently going forward from here?
Well, I think I have a much better way now. And of course, I had my wife in the middle of this. Mary was praying with me. She's listening to me wrestle through all this stuff. Obviously, my Mary J is a core partner in all this, but this walking through this, I think what I'm going to do differently now is I think I have a much more clearer path to say no.
Yeah.
It's not going to be some things broke off of me in the process. So that was very.
So you,
I think I gained a lot in this process
ab-
spiritually.
absolutely. And that's the kind
It's
of,
not over yet. We haven't got to the closing table yet, so we'll see how we do. But it's kind of where I'm at the moment.
and so what I'm hearing you say, Paul, and I might be wrong, is that you would find it a fear of saying no to somebody for a starter, and the fear of saying no to a Christian, a fellow believer, would have been even harder than saying no to someone that you don't know whether they're at.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's
Yeah,
just a,
and Mary, who probably knows me better than anybody, has watched me walk through this transition of getting out of the fear of man.
yeah,
And so that's kind of been a decades long transition to break that stronghold out of my life. And I think the Lord really kind of used this as kind of like we're gonna finally tighten the screws down on this.
yeah.
And
We just got a multi-million-dollar deal
you know,
to help.
here's the thing, if God spends all this time and energy and effort and money to finally get you to into a wedge where he's trying to deal with something, it isn't about the deal, it's about you.
Yeah,
And he will spend a fortune and go to whatever extent he has to break that stuff off of you.
yeah. And I mean, observing you, Paul, the pressure that you had allowed yourself to get under, which was God saying, "Hey, do you want to get free?" And the graciousness of your business partners that just were letting you work it out.
Yeah.
And I'm sure I wouldn't have had that level of patience. I would have said, Paul, what are we doing? But just this process of walk softly, carry a big stick is one phrase, or trust but verify is another one. I trust you. Yesterday on was a call with a new business connection, perpetually says that they love God, they do kingdom. What I've learned is I don't trust those words. I will trust and verify. I'll call someone else and say, "Hey, connected. I'm looking forward to doing Disney. Everything I like is right about this guy, but I'm going to double check it." And I did, and I got it verified by a third party. So it's those sorts of things. But we can be blinded because of our own stuff on the inside. Okay, anything else before we turn people to a group?
Not that I could think of.
Okay, well, firstly, thank you. This is super. If we can learn this now on this on the small deals, it's much easier and beneficial for us than waiting till there's a multi-million-dollar deal with tons of pressure. So learn now, deal with the fear of man, deal with the fear of confrontation, deal with the fear of whatever it may be. So what I'm going to do, I'm opening up some groups. There's going to be 3 to 4 of you in each group. So super quick, just introduce yourselves. I'm just going to break that down, just recreate, make sure that we work it out. Here's what I want you to answer. Number one, what was the most significant thing for you that you heard from what was discussed in this case study? And then number two, how does this apply to you and what you're facing or about to face? Number one, what's the most significant thing for you, as in what's the Holy Spirit pointing his finger on into you? Number two, what are you going to do? And just be aware you've got about 10 minutes. So you're thinking about 2-minute answers each. Those rooms are open. Jump on in and let's turn this lesson into something we can apply.